Good evening. I would like to call to order today's January 21st meeting of the Little Rock City Board of Directors. We would like to welcome those that are in attendance as well as those that are watching at home and online. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Director Hendricks, Director Richardson, Director Webb, Director Peck, Director Hines, Director Wright, Director Compuris, Director Fortson, Director Adcock, Vice Mayor Wyrick, Mayor Scott.
Present. We'll now have our invocation from Director Ken Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor. Will you please bow your heads? Dear Heavenly Father, we say God's peace and blessing for our Christian brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum for our Muslim brothers and sisters. We thank you for all the blessings you bestowed upon us. We thank you for giving us the ability to debate issues in a healthy, vibrant, productive way. We thank you that we can disagree with each other on certain issues, but we don't take those disagreements outside this wall. We pray for a better understanding of liberty and justice for all, especially as it relates to those who are economically, politically, and socially disenfranchised. And these things we pray in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. May we all stand for a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the consent agenda?
The consent agenda consists of a motion to approve the minutes of the October 2nd, 2019, October 15th, 2019, and November 5th, 2019 Little Rock City Board of Directors meetings, and the October 29th, 2019 Little Rock City Board of Directors reconvene meeting. A resolution to set February 4th, 2020 as the date of public hearing on the request to abandon the Van Buren Street right-of-way located between West 13th Street and West 14th Street, and for the purposes. A resolution to set February 18th, 2020 is the date of public hearing to consider the issuance of $51,400,000 in the Little Rock, Arkansas Water Reclamation Systems revenue bonds, and for the purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with PepsiCo Incorporated for the exclusive pouring rights for city parks and recreation facilities, and for the purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Burkhalter Technologies Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $2,951,143.68 for the Canis Road Project, Phase 3 reconstruction, and for other purposes. Funding from the 3/8 cent capital improvement sales tax and the limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Escamillo Excavation Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $257,202 for the Rummel Road Improvement Project, and for the purposes. Funding from the 3/8 cent capital improvement sales tax and the limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract. Hold on. It's already been changed. Don't worry about it. To enter into a contract with James A. Rogers Excavating Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $1,158,000 for the Class 1 Landfill Cell 4 partial closure, and for the purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with All Service Electric Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $113,881.20 for the Stagecoach Road emergency use traffic signal, and for the purposes. A resolution to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Resolution number 14,539 of August the 4th, 2017, to ratify, modify, and extend the lease term between the City of Little Rock and the Quapaw Quarter Association to operate Curran Hall as a tourist information center, and for the purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
There's a motion and second. There's a motion second. There's a motion and second. Before we go to all those in favor, we have a comment from Director Hendricks.
I'm concerned about number 3. Am I in order to ask a question on the public hearing for the water reclamation? There has been so many questions about this item on the agenda.
It's scheduling the public hearing on February the 18th, so we'll have questions there. But you always can ask a question right now. But there will be a set aside time.
Thank you, now.
Thank you. And that time will be on February the 18th. Director Richardson?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Bruce, on items 5, 6, and 7, are we utilizing sole source agreements with those particular entities?
These were all the bid, Director Richardson.
RFQ, RFP.
RFP.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Director Richardson. Seeing no other questions, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, do we have a motion? Madam Clerk, would you? Yeah, we didn't do a roll call, but foreign rights. We can notate that Director Wright voted nay on the foreign rights. Madam Clerk, would you please read the grouped items for the first time?
An ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Chenal Planning District southwest of Highway 300 and the Highway 10 intersection from residential medium to suburban office to neighborhood commercial land for the purposes. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Tunnel Car Wash Revised, short form PCD, located at 7706 and 7708 Cantrell Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled 10,724 West Markham Street, short form PCD, located at 10,724 West Markham Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Peacock Apartments Parking, short form PRD, located at 101 and 103 South Park Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled A.J. Williams, short form PDR, located at 1804 Rice Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. First reading.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Chenal Planning District southwest of the Highway 300 and Highway 10 intersection from residential medium and suburban office to neighborhood commercial. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Tunnel Car Wash Revised, short form PCD, located at 7706 and 7708 Cantrell Road. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled 10,724 West Markham Street, short form PCD, located at 10,724 West Markham Street. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Peacock Apartments Parking, short form PRD, located at 101 and 103 South Park Street. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled A.J. Williams, short form PDR, located at 1804 Rice Street. Second reading.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Chenal Planning District southwest of the Highway 300 and Highway 10 intersection from residential medium and suburban office to neighborhood commercial. An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Tunnel Car Wash Revised, short form PCD, located at 7706 and 7708 Cantrell Road. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and establish a planned commercial district titled 10,724 West Markham Street, short form PCD, located at 10,724 West Markham Street. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Peacock Apartments Parking, short form PRD, located at 101 and 103 South Park Street. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled A.J. Williams, short form PDR, located at 1804 Rice Street. Third and final reading.
We've now had three readings of the ordinances. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, would you please read item number 16 for the first time?
I will. And Mayor, just for clarification purposes, on the online version and a couple of paper versions, it says ordinance, but on the other ones it says resolution, and we had already printed them by the time I realized that it was that I had resolution instead of ordinance.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that notation.
Okay. An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Panita Calais, short form PCD, located at 9811 Mapleville Main Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes first reading.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Panita Calais, short form PCD, located at 9811 Mapleville Main Street, second reading.
There's a motion second, place on third and final reading. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Before we go to the third reading, we have a comment from, we'll go to the third reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Panita Calais, short form PCD, located at 9811 Mapleville Main Street, third and final reading.
We've now had three readings. We have a couple of questions from the city directors. Vice Mayor Wyatt.
Thank you. Can Mr. Collins come to the podium, please? I have a couple of questions I wanted to ask him about this application. This is the planned zoning development, or PCD, Planned Commercial District. What are the uses that this PCD is asking for at this location?
It's to acknowledge the non-conforming auto repair garage.
Auto repair, and so that's the only approval at this location? I looked through there and I didn't see anything else written in there. So it'd be a planned commercial development for auto repair.
I'm reading through it right now.
Okay,
That is correct.
okay. So a rolling restaurant would not be allowed in this, at this location?
Well, mobile canteen units are allowed by right in several types of zoning, conditions. So unless it was excluded specifically in a PCD, then we would fall back to underlying type of use, commercial use or an office use when we look at the PCD.
So, but you just told me that the only thing that this PCD is doing is for auto repair.
That would be the commercial use. The PCD is to limit the actual, if you're looking at like a C1 use or C2 use, you're looking for a specific commercial use that it is. If it's not excluding it, then mobile canteens come in and they are allowed to go into a commercial use property or an office use property, essentially every use property except for residential.
Okay, so you're saying that it is approved to go into this location with this change?
It would be allowed to go in. It's not included in this, but it's not excluded in the PCDs. We have multiple PCDs that, they're allowed to do that too.
Okay, I'm going to ask it this way. Can you put a rolling restaurant at this location without any further approvals based on this PCD change?
Yes.
Okay. That's pretty simple. Okay. I read something in here about open storage. I'm looking for it now. I don't see what it says, but my concern with this location is prior to these people have moved into this location and started operating a tire business, and they also had a rolling restaurant there at one time, and it's been removed. But they've not been good stewards of this property. There have been tires that are piled up. I drove through there last week, and there's tires all over the ground. There are tires in a trailer. It's just in disrepair around the location. So are they allowed to store tires just anywhere they want to put them on this property? I know if you're a resident, you can't have tires in your yard. Code enforcement will come out. So what are the rules for the storage of the tires? Because this is a tire business, and they're going to do a lot of tires.
Just the random outside storage of the tires would not be allowed on the property. There had to be a designated area. They have, in the meetings that was held with the applicant, they also said that they intend to store them in a trailer on site to be hauled off, once they get, enough to haul off, to the deal. So if you're saying, is one or two allowed to be on the property? Yes, in a manner that is stored to be done. If you're saying that, if they're stacking them and they have, I don't know what the number would be, but stacked somewhere on the property, not in a confined area, then that would be no.
Have board fencing that's up with a gate, and there's tires that are right there where the board fencing is, inside there, outside there, along the fence, and then they have this trailer that they're piling tires up on. And I don't know what the quantity is that they're getting ready for, but there's already a lot of tires there. I'm just saying that they're not storing their merchandise in a way that is attractive or appealing to anybody that goes by there and drives by.
Yeah.
So I've already reported them a couple of times because of the tire storage there. And what is the remedy if they continue to store tires outside?
Well, they'll need to designate a storage area, and if it gets outside of that storage area, then zoning can go and force on that and say that they need to put it back in the storage area, so they can't be putting it all over the site.
What does the storage area look like? Is it open fencing where you just throw them in there? Is it supposed to be some sort of opaque location for them to be? Because what they're doing in the way of storing is very, very ugly. And, the people that had the property before, where they did body work, it was very attractive. It was very well kept up. It was very neat. And this does not look good. And we have a number of nice homes in the area, and people have to go by this location to get to their homes. And it's just not acceptable. They talked about they're the only tire location in the area. There's one that's about 1.5 miles down the road. It's a PCD. They had to do landscaping, sidewalks, dedicate right-of-way. They had certain restrictions for parking at that location, and these people are just allowed to throw tires wherever they want to throw them and keep the place in disrepair.
Well, like currently the property is not zoned commercial. It's a non-conforming legal use of the property because it's just for the years, it was like I explained previously, it was there prior to the annexation in it. Now, I'll see if I can address some of the storage matter. When outside storage is put in, it depends on what the storage is. If you're talking about what would be considered waste, from that operation, it cannot be stored in a manner to be cluttered or in that type of manner, like kind of like a trash enclosure scenario. We don't allow opaque fencing, as far as slats. If you're talking about the chain link slats,
I'm talking about
that's not
something you
allowed.
can't see through to see the mess.
Well, we would treat that like if it was a trash or debris, since it would be material that's to be hauled off. It was to be, if it's going to be there like like they're filling a trailer up and they're going to haul it off that day, that's a difference than if it's going to stay there for multiple days.
Yeah, it's staying there for multiple days.
If it's there for multiple days, then we would consider it, material that would need to be hauled off due to the operation, just like we would for trash and other material.
So, I'm just talking about what their behavior is right now. And they do have a location where they're putting some tires. It does have a board fence on part of it and a chain link fence on the other part, but there's a big door and it's open so you can see in there. There's tires hanging out of it. There's tires in it. There's tires along the fence. Then you have a trailer that's full of tires. There's debris over most of the property that's there. It's just not being taken care of. And so that's my objection to this change, because I think it gives them more opportunities to do more things there, and they're just not good stewards of that property.
Understand. The rezoning was just because of its non-conforming use. The code says that when, they come in, if they choose this because it is coming from a non-conforming use to a commercial, it will go PCD.
Okay.
So the site plan was existing use, existing site as is. There was no modifications or proposed changes to the plan.
Did you have a site plan? Did it show storage on it?
Ally, could you bring up the sketch? This is what was presented. So there's no labeled outside storage area of the material that you're talking about.
So I'm trying to figure out where the alley is. Is that between the building and the house? Oh, there's Mableville Main Street.
There's Mableville Main, and just to
Yeah.
the, Ally, could you scroll down just a little bit? And there's Third Street.
So where they have their storage, if I'm looking at this right, it's there on Lot 8, and it's next to the fence. That's a fence that goes around there. And it's, part of it's chain link, and then there's like some boards that have been put across the front of it. So it's in that corner there on what's called Lot 8.
Like I said, we would treat that as we do with our other commercial developments or office developments as far as trash or debris on the property.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to put my other hat on for a minute. I'm going to turn me off. Director Adcock.
Jamie, last week, BJ and Director Wyrick and I both had questions about this, about the upkeep and everything. Did you or your staff go out and talk to these people?
Yes, we have went out and talked to the owners of the property.
Did you talk to the people that's operating this tire store?
Yes, we went out there several occasions upon notification of their tires and the stacking of the tires.
Do they speak English?
I personally don't know the exact answer to that, because the staff is the ones that have visited.
Director
the site.
Adcock, the question is, were we able to communicate with them?
And
What-
yes, we
Did
we
they understand the communications?
Okay, do you recall the Windermere and Guyer Springs problem we had last year? How close is this moving restaurant, as Director Wyrick refers to it, a food truck, to a house? Because houses, food trucks are not allowed within so many feet of a house. And if I'm not mistaken, there's houses close to this site.
Yes, ma'am, just to behind the property, away from Mapleville, there's homes on that adjacent.
They have a budding property line.
And they would still follow underneath that criteria set forth our latest guidelines to a mobile canteen unit.
Have you explained to them what that is?
I have not.
Has your staff?
I'm not aware that they have explained that to them to date, but in any mobile canteen unit, that is explained for them to pick up a license and give to them to have a license to operate in the city limits of Little Rock.
Well, I'm
On a
concerned
yearly
about
basis.
is if these people understood when you went out there what the rules was about this, and then also about the mobile canteen being on the property because it's been being there.
And like I said, I can't explain about the property owners, the mobile canteen, the owner of the mobile canteen unit, when they pick up their license, they're given that guidelines that you've seen, the latest one that we worked through, and then that is explained to them of where they can be. And they're the ones that we enforce on the mobile canteen unit.
Vice Mayor, I'd like to move that this be tabled for 2 weeks until we're sure that everything has been explained to this applicant.
Okay, is that a motion?
Yes, it is.
Do I hear a second? Okay, we have a second. That's a non-debatable motion, Mr. Carpenter. So, do we have to vote? Okay. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, so this has been tabled until what time certain?
2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. Second meeting.
To make
for
sure that
the-
the applicant understands the rules about
meeting in
mobile
February.
canteens.
First meeting in February? Okay, to the first meeting in February. I don't know the date. Okay, but you'll let the individuals know? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
There's two more questions on that.
Director Hendricks.
No.
We tabled it, so.
Okay. Table it. All right. We've now tabled 16. Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. We'll now go into citizens' communications. Claudia, Director Campuris.
If we're going to listen to this in 2 weeks, can we ask the applicant to be here? I mean, okay, we should have asked them.
Claudia Navarro.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much.
I'm calling. I'm here actually regarding. Sorry. I am actually here regarding 8910 Sunset Lane. I just recently purchased this property, and I know that it's under contention. I believe. I don't know the word exactly, but
If just speak a little bit closer to the mic.
okay. My
Yes.
name is Claudia Navarro. I recently purchased 8910 Sunset Lane, and I believe it's under. Yes. And I was here to see if there's any way I could get it out of that. And I actually have the contractors with me and the proposal and the plumbers that, so we all already have a plan in motion to
Mayor.
get the property back up.
Yes, ma'am.
To provide a little bit of background, the property was on the condemnation list. The board allowed the owner, I think it was a 60-day period, to bring the property into compliance. This was done in the last quarter of last year. The owner died. We were told Thursday or Friday that the house was on the condemnation list and was about to be torn down. We noted that because of the death of the owner, the estate needed to be notified that this was going to happen because it was now an asset of the estate. So we stopped the demolition. I understood that the new owner was the daughter of the woman, and you just said you bought it, and I don't know that that makes a difference. But the issue is that it was caught up in a moment in a probate, so we stopped the demolition last week. It seems to me that instead of a citizen communication saying, Mr. Garland already is aware of this in the housing department, Mr. Turner, Kevin, and Howard, and the proper way to go is to work through them and then let it come back to the board. You had an ordinance to condemn. You gave an extension of time. Housing has not brought it back to demolish, and they really need to work with the housing department on this before asking the board.
Can I talk about that? Actually, Amalia Hernandez is not dead, and she is not my mother. She's 29 years old. I'm 33.
Then any similarity between what I was told Thursday and the truth is mere coincidence.
I have a lawyer. I actually contacted a lawyer because I have actually been trying to get a hold of Mr. Garland, and he was very rude and disrespectful on the phone. And I tried to let him know that I had recently purchased the property, and he said it didn't even matter, that no matter what, the property was going to be condemned. And he already had a contract with the construction company, and they already had the bins there, so it didn't matter what that I had just purchased the property. She's not my mother. I am not related to her. I mean, she's 29. I'm 33.
The 29-year-old might be the daughter of the woman, because that I think that's what must have happened.
This property has been under Amalia Hernandez's name for quite a while, from from the deed that she showed
In
to
that
me.
case, we need to come back in 2 weeks and tell you what we can determine the truth to be instead of accept what we've been told, because it's not accurate. We stopped the demolition. We're going to owe damages to the company that had the contract for the demolition because we had already let the contract before we stopped it. And I still think that they need to go back to Mr. Garland. I know that this matter was discussed with him by my office and with Mr. Howard last week, and so they're aware of it. So that's really the step to take. I don't have any problem with her telling you this, but we put that part in motion on the understanding.
But my lawyer actually told me to come talk to you guys and see if, I could get you guys to get it out of the condemnation and actually get over to, if not, so I could file an injunction.
They can't do it tonight because it's an ordinance that's been passed and approved. So it would have to be an ordinance to come back to repeal that one. And that's not going to happen for 2 weeks.
I understand, but I tried to get a hold of Mr. Garland to see what was the procedure.
She still has her minute. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not refusing. I'm just trying to let you know what I did.
We understand. Please continue on. You still have your time.
It's fine.
No, you still have your time.
I mean, I have the contract with the contractors. I have pictures of the property. It's actually been covered. A lot of the work just has to be done to the inside of the property, which is like some electrical work and some plumbing work, I believe, and siding, which you guys could speak with the contractors. I have pictures. I have the deed, and then I have proof of that I have money to get the property into with the contractor.
So what we'll do is, Mrs. Cox, if you would, please get with Mrs. Navarro and get all the details so we can figure some. Mr. Moore?
Mr. Howard and Mr. Bitton and what's Sean's last name? Mr. Overton. They made me aware of this, I think, on Friday. We all agreed that we would delay the condemnation moving forward. So this was late Friday. It was a holiday weekend, so you might not be aware of that. But they did make us aware that there were issues dealing with the title and all. So we felt it prudent to delay it. So we won't be moving forward anytime soon. And I think what Mr. Carpenter and the mayor was saying is if you just get with Mr. Howard and Mr. Garland and we can work out the details. And the way we've operated, if you have a contract to move forward and you got a plan, then we generally approve those plans. So just so you realize, it's delayed as of Friday, and we'll work through the other aspects of it.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Daniel Hopwood, please.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. The Forest Hills neighborhood spent years fighting against eminent domain. It becomes more evident that the group which is seeking illegal control of our neighborhood association is intent on undermining our past efforts. The group has aligned itself with those who wish to profit for themselves, with no concern for those who would be financially crippled. Since we succeeded against eminent domain, you have helped us with improvements to streets, sidewalks, and drainage, to the tune of about $8 million. For those improvements, we thank you. We hope that you will continue to ensure that we enjoy these improvements well into future years. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Russ Raycott.
Thank you, Mayor. Board. Little Rock is consistently ranked the most dangerous city of its size, with a violent crime index 3 times higher than the national average. In a recent article by CBS News, Little Rock was once again listed as one of the most dangerous cities in the USA, and we're always in the top 25 of that. Last year, we had 45 homicides. I've gotten the records from the coroner to substantiate that. And fortunately this year, so far, we've only had 2 homicides. one in Ward 6 and one in Ward 7. I spoke to you last year when Kenton Tamar Buckner was the chief of police about the department imploding due to external and internal problems. Now, some approximate 8 months into Buckner 2.0 at Little Rock PD, we are having similar, or if even possible, more problems. On October 9th, a Little Rock police officer was suspended after LRPD officers responded to his residence on a domestic violence call. A citizen subsequently complained that that same officer had stalked her after he responded to a domestic call at her residence. December 23rd, a Little Rock police officer was suspended after he was arrested for domestic violence. On New Year's Day, a Little Rock police officer that is often the spokesman for the department was reported to have riddled the air with 40 to 60 shots from an assault rifle. That incident is being investigated by the Maumelle Police Department. On January 5th, a Little Rock police detective was arrested and charged with driving while intoxicated in Texas. January the 8th, Little Rock police detective, one that works in major violent crimes, was arrested at his home in Benton and charged with domestic violence. That officer is also being investigated there for possible illegal possession of controlled substances. Last week, Little Rock police was embarrassed to admit that they had arrested and charged a special needs minor who they charged as an adult in a shooting incident. They ran into problems when it was discovered that the minor was on probation and was wearing an ankle monitor and that GPS records placed him at his home at the time of the alleged shooting. And just today, the chief of police was in court on a contempt citation, was told that he could have his badge and gun taken away and would be fined $10,000 a day if he did not comply with a court order. I find it rather odd that when police officers are found to be in violation of law, their mantra is, not all police officers are bad. We never hear that being said about bankers, doctors, lawyers, preachers, or any other licensed individual. The city is on a precipice and is at risk of being pushed into a dark chasm of civic unrest. Do what you were elected to do and take real substantive actions to address these issues. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We've now concluded all of our citizens' remarks. Are there any comments from the board before we conclude to adjourn? We have a motion to adjourn, but one question from Director Hendricks before we adjourn. Director Hendricks?
It's really not a question, it was a comment, and my intent was to support what the young lady was saying, but at the same time, she needs to respect what the attorney was saying.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all.
Thank you for that comment. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.